Okay, the next thing we're going to do is a foldable. So this is what the paper looks like. What I need you to do in the next 30 seconds is quietly take a pair of scissors and cut on both of the dotted lines. After you cut on the dotted lines, I want you to fold the flaps so that this is what your foldable looks like. So you've cut right here, and these are the ends of the papers, so it's going to open up into 4 parts. And we're going to start right here with the graph. So pause the video if you need to, cut the dotted lines, get your foldable ready. Okay, so we're going to write an equation from the graph. This is basically what we did on the yellow paper, so this part wouldn't be very hard for you. You need to write the steps down though. So first, yes, you should write this down on the inside of your paper. So open up the flap with the graph and you're going to write these steps right there, basically behind the graph. Step 1, you're going to find the y-intercept. So you're going to write down, step 1, find the y-intercept. Keep in mind, if you're not paying attention, the video is not going to stop or rewind. Here we go. Y-intercept right there. Boom, -2, right where your line crosses the y-axis. Done. Step 2, find the slope. Write it down. Write that your y-intercept is -2. Write down step 2, find the slope. You're going to find the slope by picking 2 nice corner points, no in-betweenies. We're not going to pick this point right here. That's an in-betweenie. That's a no-no. Right here at your y-intercept, right here, it crosses through -4 on the x-axis. So to find the slope, we have to do rise over run. So from here, we went up 2 over 4. Our rise was 2, our run was 4. So rise 2, run 4. I'm going to simplify it, divide by 2, and I get 1/2. Now, if you notice, my slope is pointing towards the negative side, or it's decreasing. It's a negative slope. It needs to be -1/2. So you're going to write your slope-intercept form equation down and fill in the slope and the y-intercept. Y equals mx plus b. M is your slope. Your slope is -1/2, so I put it right there. B is your y-intercept. My y-intercept was -2. I put it right there. So I'll give you 30 seconds to make sure everything on the screen is written down on your paper. And then next we're going to go to the box right below the graph, which is it gives you the slope and a point. So you have about 15 more seconds. All right, here we go. So we're on this one. Write an equation if all you know is the slope, so we know our slope is 1/2, and 1 point on the line. And we know the point -4, 2 is on the line. So we're going to write all these notes behind this picture on your paper. First up, you know your slope and a point. You need to find your y-intercept. So you're going to write down your equation. Y equals mx plus b. So you're going to label your x and your y on the point. This is the point I'm talking about. -4 is the x, 2 is the y. Then you're going to plug your points into the slope, or plug the point and the slope into your formula. Y equals mx plus b. Okay, our slope is right here, it's 1/2. So where the m is, you're going to put a 1/2. Your y is 2 from right here, so where the y is, you're going to put a 2. And your x from over here is a -4. So you're going to put in the -4. Okay, then you're going to solve for b. Basically, use multiplication, addition, subtraction, whatever operation you need to do, and you're going to solve for the b. So I have 2 is equal to 1/2 times -4 plus some number. So the first thing I'm going to do is do 1/2 times -4. And I get -2. So 2 is equal to -2 plus some number. I want to find out b, so I need to get b by itself. So I'm going to do the opposite of -2, which is add 2 to both sides. Once I add 2 to both sides, b is 4. I'm going to give you about 15 seconds. Make sure you have everything written before we move on. All right, here we go. So we know the x and the y, we know the slope. You're going to plug your point and your slope into the formula. And we solve for b. Here we are. Got b is 4. Then you're going to, so guys, listen, don't rewrite this. You already have step 3 and 4. Please do not rewrite this. Start writing on step 5. Write equation using slope and b, which is your y-intercept. So y is equal to mx plus b. M is our slope. Our slope was 1/2. B is our y-intercept, which we solved for, which is 4. So if your slope is 1/2 and the point -4, 2 is on the line, your equation would be y is equal to 1/2 x plus 4. Okay, next we're moving to the top right. Write an equation if you know 2 points, which lie on the line. So I'll give you 10 more seconds. Make sure you have everything down. Okay, here we go. All right, so write an equation if all you know is the 2 points. Okay, so you're gonna write this on the flat behind it. You need to know your equation is y equals mx plus b, so you're gonna have to find your slope. You're gonna have to find your b. Basically, you're gonna be doing the same steps you've been doing in the other examples. You know your 2 points, find your slope, label your points. So x1, y1, x2, y2. Label your x and your y on your points. So write down step 1, write down step 2, label x1, y1, x2, y2. Okay, you're going to write down your slope formula. And your slope formula is slope is equal to y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And you're going to put in your 2 points to the slope formula and find your slope. So y2 is -2. So I put a -2 right there. Minus y1. There's my y1, -4. So I have -2 minus -4. x2 is a 2. I put it in. Minus x1. x1 is -2. -2. Please do not guess. Please put it in your calculator. -2 minus a -4 is a +2. 2 minus a -2 is a +4. So 2 over 4 is 1/2. So that's your slope. Slope is 1/2 or 0.5. Guys, y'all rock at finding slope. If they give you 2 points and they want to know your slope, intercept form equation, find your slope first. I'm going to give you about 10 more seconds to get this written down, and then we're moving on. here we go. So we know our slope, we know a point. I'm going to use 2, -2 because it only has one negative number. So same steps as before. Label your x and y, plug your point and your slope into the formula. So your y is -2, your x is 2, and your slope is 1/2. Just kind of listen and watch. I'll give you time in a minute to write down all your steps. So just listen and watch. So now I'm going to solve for b. So I'm going to do 1/2 times 2, which is 1. So now -2 is equal to 1 plus some number, which is our b, our y-intercept. So we want to get b by itself. So we have to move the 1. So we're going to subtract 1 on both sides. Once I do that, this cancels out, and I'm left with b. -2 and -1 is -3. So now we know b is -3. So we know a point. We know our 2 points. We now know our slope, because that was 1/2. And we now know our b, which is our y-intercept. So now you're going to just make your equation. Y is equal to 1/2, which is our slope, minus 3. I'll give you about 30 seconds to write it down. All right, here we go. The last one is the chart. It's the same thing as what we just did with 2 points, because on our chart, these are our 2 points right here. So write it down behind the chart. You don't have to write this down. Know your 2 points. Find your slope. Label your points. x1, y1, x2, y2. And guess what? You're going to use your slope formula like we just did. And you're going to put your points in there. y2 is 2 minus 6, which is -4. x2 is 1 minus -1, which is 2. -4 divided by 2 is -2. Got your slope. Now we have our slope. We need to find our y-intercept. Okay, find our y-intercept. I'll give you about 30 seconds to get this down. All right, here we go. So now we have our slope. We need to find the y-intercept. So same thing as we did before. Write your equation, plug in the x and the y. I'm going to use 1 and 2 because they're both positive numbers. And I'm going to solve for b. So my slope is -2. My y is 2. My x is 1. And then I'm going to solve for b. So the first thing I'm going to do is do -2 times 1. So -2 times 1 is -2. So 2 is equal to -2 plus some number. So to get b by itself, I'm going to add 2 on both sides. So b is equal to 4. So now I know b. I know my slope is -2. So write an equation using slope and b, which is the y-intercept. Y equals mx plus b. Y is equal to -2, which is our slope, plus 4, which was our y-intercept. So you have about 30 seconds to get this down. There's a paper that says writing linear equations cut and paste. It has 6 problems. I want you to try those 6 problems using these notes. You can do your work on a separate sheet of paper. Try. You have answer choices, and I want you to put your name on it and turn it into the sub. I want you to try. I don't want to hear, this is hard, I don't get it. You have your steps. Look at your examples. Make sure you turn in everything to the sub except this foldable. Put the foldable in your notebook.